Hello, welcome back to Meerkat Poke. This is Mighty Soul. In March 2026, I met my husband, Noah Sebastian. Just kidding. I went to a concert with friends to see the band Bad Omens, not knowing that I would listen to a band that would quickly consume my sanity. This band is President. President was the first opener for the Bad Omens tour. I quickly realized that I had in fact heard songs from them before, not realizing that I knew the band. And in this video, I just want to talk about bands that are known for their anonymity. Just because, like, when I first listened to President live, I didn't realize that they were anonymous and they were wearing masks. Like, in my head, I was just like, oh, it's just a white man and but, like, as I looked closely and then as I started watching music videos, I was like, oh, they're wearing a very creepy, lifelike mask. I just wanted to talk about bands specifically in the alternative, metal, genre type of music that keep their anonymity and just see how they connect with audiences, just because, like, a big part of, like, artists is, like, their branding, their whole identity, and how they connect to audiences. And it's interesting, like, how do bands that do anonymous work connect with their audiences? How do they connect with people? How do they make sure that their music is relatable? And what happens when artists themselves are anonymous? Like, can the same level of connection be made despite the mystery and, like, mystery of their identity? And the artists that I'm gonna primarily focus on will be the band President, Sleep Token, Ghost, Slipknot, and Pussy Riot. In the future, I do hope to delve into, like, bands like Daft Punk, Deadmau5, Marshmello, but I wanted to focus primarily in this video alternative metal bands, so then in my next video I can focus on, like, more electronic music bands, just because I have been going to a lot of raves. Yeah, so my next video I will focus on music. So the first band that I want to talk about is President. This is an anonymous English band. They're from the UK. The band was announced, so this is like a fairly new band because they were announced as a performer for the 2025 Download Festival in February 2025, which is like a year and a half ago. And this confused fans because this band had no social media presence, they had no songs out, so they were just like, who the f- is this band? And as soon as they performed their songs at this music festival, that's when the band created their Instagram page and started posting cryptic messaging and releasing music. I thought this was weird because I was like, how are you a band that, like, has no following, has no music, but you book a festival? So, like, for me, when I see this, I'm like, I'm not thinking, like, I'm not gonna say, like, industry plant. Like, no, I don't think they're industry plants. Like, I think it's more like they're probably artists that are well established in other bands and just have connections and just want to keep their anonymity in order to create, like, another separate project that is not related to their identity. So a lot of fans also believe this because a lot of fans believe that the main singer is Charlie Simpson. Now, I didn't know who the Charlie Simpson was because I'm very beginner when it comes to, like, listening to alternative music and just, like, that type of music. Basically, everybody on Reddit thinks that this main singer, the lead singer of President, is Charlie Simpson. And the reason for that, like, a lot of them are just like, just literally listen to, like, the music that Charlie Simpson's made into, like, his old bands. So I went back and I tried to listen to, like, bands that Charlie Simpson was in. For the band Busted, I was like, I don't really see it, but okay. But then I listened to Fight Star, and specifically the songs Dive, and, like, just all the songs from the album Behind the Devil's Back, which was released in 2015. was like, oh yeah, I see the similarities in voice now. So yeah, like I can see why a lot of fans speculate that, and also why like a lot of fans think that it's a rock supergroup that's staying anonymous to let the music speak for themselves. They're also going on tour in October. Well, one, they went on tour with like Bad Omens, which is like a pretty big band, and also like they're going on tour again in October of this year, because I know they're gonna be in Oakland, and I'm like, maybe I should go see them. And I'm not sure of the lore of this band, because a lot of these anonymous bands come with lore behind them, like kind of as a way to like create like their own little world. I'm not really sure about the lore, and I try to look up the lore of the band, and I don't know if maybe it's like still developing because it's such a new band, and that's why fans are confused. But some believe that maybe like the president, which is the main singer, the main mass singer, they don't know if he's like maybe praying to a god about like losing his faith, which is why there's like symbolism a lot in their set, where there's like upside down crosses and like a podium. And yeah, so I don't know if like maybe the masks are kind of used for an anonymity, mystery, and also like a little bit of lore building. Next we have Sleep Token, which is also an English rock band that started in 2016. They're obviously anonymous, and like a quick explanation of their lore, because I'm a fairly recent fan of like this band, so I don't really know the lore, but from what I could gather, the basic lore is that sleep is supposed to be some kind of god / entity that either blesses you with dreams, or it curses you with nightmares. So Vessel is supposed to be the main singer of the band, and they're all supposed to be mortal representatives of sleep, because like their music is supposed to be like, I guess like some kind of worship to this god. And their explanation for staying anonymous is that they don't want to focus on who is and who isn't in the band, but more so focus on like their offerings, like basically what they're offering the god of sleep. And I feel like anonymity for this band is really based on the lore, and also even if you look at the masks are very highly decorated with like symbolism and runes that are supposed to like represent the god of sleep. So yeah, like the mystery is also very alluring. The way they perform has gotten a lot of people thirsty, including myself, just because they be wearing masks and like black paint, right? But like the black paint is like you can still see the abs, a very well defined set of abs, while Vessel is performing. So there's like plenty of videos of people just like kind of thirsting over there. Another band that I wanted to talk about is the band Ghost. Yes, they are anonymous, but people kind of know some of the members, and I will explain why. Ghost is supposed to be a Swedish band. They kind of made like 80s type music, but like they're not from the 80s. It just kind of sounds like 80s type music, at least to me. And it started off as an anonymous band because two of the members were like, wow, we don't look like the type of people that would make this type of music, because a lot of their music also has like anti-religion type sentiment. So for 10 years they were able to like keep their anonymity, and also like they were a little bit controversial, especially in the US. Maybe not so much in Europe, but in the US specifically, like there was people that didn't want to print their their vinyls because they were like, Antichrist, like you're anti-God and stuff. But I mean, they were successful regardless. However, in 2017, they had multiple lead singers, and they were kind of like rotate out. Like either they would leave the band, then another one would come and like take over the lead singer role. However, what ended up happening in 2017 is a lot of, I think 4 former members of the band Ghost complained that they were not getting paid adequately, their wages, so they sued the main person in the band, basically the creator of the band, and outed him, like his identity, because they were doing this lawsuit. So that's where in 2017 it was revealed that like the main person of the band Ghost is Tobias Forge. Basically they were like fighting over royalties, which like, get your money, get your bag. Okay, I ended up looking, because I was just like, what ended up happening to these former bandmates that kind of like sued Tobias Forge? What I ended up seeing was that like the lawsuit was basically dismissed because like the former bandmates were kind of making the complaint that they weren't getting paid enough in 2012, which is when they were part of the band. However, Tobias Forge kind of made like the argument that it's just like, well, I wasn't making any money. Like the band was not profitable at that time, so I couldn't pay you anything. So instead, this is the part. Instead, the ex-bandmates had to pay legal fees to Tobias Forge, which I'm like, damn, that sucks. For the rest of the band members have been able to stay anonymous. Like if they do interviews, they kind of go by like Nameless Ghoul and stuff like that. Whereas like Tobias Forge, like, I mean, everybody kind of knows because of that lawsuit that he is the one from the band. And it's very interesting to see because like in the case of Ghost, Sleep Token, and President, it kind of seems like the anonymity really allows the band to be as dramatic and theatrical as possible. Like for Ghost, like they're wearing like all sorts of paint and like dressed as the Pope or like the anti-Pope. And like for Sleep Token, they have this whole lore where they're worshiping a god, and like they have very decorated masks. And for President, it's kind of like, I don't know, they're dressed as a generic white man that is president, whereas the other people are kind of dressed as like, I don't know. Other band that I kind of wanted to talk about is Slipknot. They're a very famous metal band from Des Moines, Iowa, but I mean, yeah, they do have masks, but like people kind of know their identity. According to them, they kind of use the mask to draw less attention for the people that are making the music, and instead have that focus itself just be the music. But they're not exactly anonymous because like people know who they are. Like a lot of them know who they are just because they're so famous. And also like very early on, like when they would do interviews maskless, and they would just perform with masks. So yeah, their identities are pretty well known to the band members. Like it kind of seems like they kind of just use a mask in order to like get into the zone of like I guess their alter egos when it comes to creating music. The last band that I wanted to talk about is Pussy Riot. Pussy Riot is a Russian feminist punk rock band. They kind of did a lot of like performance art and like just protesting. They were protesting Putin and also like trying to advocate for LGBTQ rights and feminism. And they used their anonymity because there was a lot of protesting. They used their anonymity for activism just so they didn't get in trouble. People nowadays kind of know their identities because they were arrested. At some point they did a performance in a cathedral, and the Russian Orthodox Church got upset because they were like, why are you in my church performing? And they were charged with hooliganism, which is essentially just like being a public nuisance. Specifically, it was hooliganism motivated by religious hatred. I guess in the US, like, I guess it would be, I don't know, I feel like if that happened in the US, it would probably be trespassing, because it's like, we don't want you in the church. And also that has happened to reporters. I feel like that happened to some reporter that went into a church and they were like, leave, 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 and he kind of got arrested. Yeah, so these are all the bands that kind of use anonymity in order to like both create music but also like push their artistry forward. And I think it's really interesting just how like the mystery itself is alluring, and kind of like, oh, who are they? But also it kind of does keep the attention back to the music. And yeah, and I think like it probably like gives like also like more creative freedom, because it's just like, well, this is not about who I am, this is more about like my artistry. Like, let me just put out there what I want without it being attached to my identity. And I feel like that's really, it's just very interesting to me. And I just nerd out about these things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is just a short one, just because I haven't posted. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you have a nice day and listen to really cool music. Bye!